I'm not hiding under my bed after this one. Hi, I'm Sam Morehouse, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a movie based off young adult novels of the same name. These are books of scary stories. It's not one strung together story like it is in the movie. And by the way, I have not read these books, so I cannot compare the two. It was written and produced by Guillermo del Toro and directed by Andre Øvredal. I don't think I'm saying that right. It's about this group of kids in the 60s that find this book of scary stories, and long story short, the stories are about the kids and start coming to life. Right as the movie starts, it's clearly set in the 60s and it really pushes that on you. In the music, in the aesthetic, even in the dialogue and how people talk, though especially the dialogue part doesn't really carry throughout the rest of the movie. And I have to say the 60s setting doesn't really do much for the story. Everything that does relate to the 60s that's in the movie just could have been changed for the present day, and it wouldn't have affected the movie itself at all. So you have to stop and wonder, why was it set in the 60s? Now the kids did two things really well. One, they looked like teenagers, and two, they could act. They weren't the best performances I've ever seen, but they were pretty solid all the way through. They looked, acted, talked, and felt like nerds, which is what they were supposed to be, and of course they had an over-the-top bully. Now the first 20 minutes of this movie, I gotta say, I kind of forgot I was watching a horror movie, and that's not bad, because I really enjoyed what it was I was watching. It was fun. And then about 20 minutes in, shit starts to go down. Now, this movie being a PG-13 horror movie couldn't rely on the gore that a lot of horror movies rely on nowadays. This movie had to find its scares in the atmosphere and intensity, and this movie does a really good job of having a tense tone throughout the time, and when it wants you really cranking up the tension and making you feel stiff and uneasy. It also relied heavily on disturbing imagery, which couldn't be full of blood and guts, so they had to get creative with some of it, and I gotta say, it pulled it off. And in full honesty, I think disturbing imagery really is what scares me the most in horror movies, because that's what you close your eyes at night and see. It's what follows you out of the theater, and what sticks with you later. It's definitely always one of the most memorable parts of what you're watching, if it's done right. There were also, of course, jump scares, which I gotta say, I find pretty cheap at times. This movie definitely didn't just keep on throwing them at you, but there were a few times, most notably at the beginning before it really started to get going, and near the end, where they relied on them a little too much. Now, throughout the movie, there are about 5 scary scenes, or scary stories, that unfold. All of them except about one I definitely found really tense and off-putting, but there was only one of them that I would say really scared me, and that was because it got dead silent. And I gotta say, I did not close my eyes at all in this movie, but at this point I did cover my ears because I knew a big scream was coming. I was right. And so I definitely think that a lot of like horror junkies and people that are really into the genre are gonna think that this movie didn't really push it at all. And yeah, that's true, but I think that's mostly because it's based off young adult novels, so in a lot of ways, this movie's target audience is younger people who are just starting to explore and get into horror. Now, this isn't the actor's fault, but I didn't think that necessarily all the characters always really reacted realistically to the situations. I mean, it's like, come on, people just died! And they seem to care, but really not as much as I would think you should. And even some joke cracking is happening around this time, which doesn't really seem appropriate. Now, there are a few main characters, but really most of the character moments and character development were focused on one character, Stella. Now, it didn't get super in-depth into her character and her growth, but definitely the moments that it had were enough to make you care about her and were effective enough. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Please share your own thoughts down in the comment section below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. And if you like these reviews, please share these with your friends and family. And I hope to see you here again next time.